Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to learn about the different types of pointers in the C language. We know that pointer is nothing but it stores the address of the variable, right? So normally how do we so we will declare a variable by using int p. So here the int is the data type and the star is the pointer operator and p is the pointer variable. So here we will declare the pointer variable like this. So normally how do we declare a variable means int p. How do we declare a pointer variable means by using the pointer operator here. So how to define the pointer variable. So to define the pointer variable, we are assigning certain address to the pointer, that is p equals to address of a. Okay, so we are assigning the address of the particular variable a, right? So when the first during the declaration a pointer is created here, right? So now it is assigned the address of a. So here the pointer will copy the address of the particular location a, which is 1000. So it will be stored in the pointer location. Okay, so like this a pointer variable is created. So variable a, so int a. Okay, so here the variable a will store a value, that is 10. Okay, it is storing a integer value. Like that, similarly particular variable. Okay, so now coming to the different types of pointers. So we are having the different types of pointers, that is null pointer, void pointer, wild pointer, dangling pointer, near pointer, far pointer, and hue pointer. So first coming to the null pointer. So here the null pointer, the name itself denotes that the pointer is pointing to nothing. That means the pointer value is null. Okay, so at the time of pointer declaration by assigning the null value. So when we are going to use the null pointer means at the time of pointer declaration only by assigning the null. So when you do not assign any address to the pointer, then it will become a null pointer. So normally that we have seen, right? So after declaring a pointer variable, so we are going to assign the address of a variable to the pointer. That is the definition of the pointer variable. Okay, or assigning of the pointer variable. So when you do not assign any address to the pointer, okay, so we are creating a pointer variable, but we have not assigned any address to the pointer variable. Okay, and instead of assigning an address, we are assigning the null value to the pointer variable. So that type of pointers are called as null pointers. A null pointer always contains a value called 0. Okay, it will point to 0. So now let us see the syntax of a null pointers. That is the data type, pointer operator, and variable name equals to null. Okay, so we are declaring the data type as int and the pointer variable name as p. So int pointer variable equals to null. That means that pointer variable p is pointing to nothing. So it is a null pointer. So now let us know more about the null pointers by using an example. So we are including the header files stdio.h and the program will start here. Main int pointer equals to null. So we are declaring the pointer variable ptr. Okay, and I am assigning the null value to the pointer variable without assigning any address to the pointer variable. Next, printf the value inside pointer variable is the particular pointer. So print the value inside the pointer variable. Okay, and return the value 0. Okay, so here the pointer is pointing to nothing, right? That is a null value. So that's why, so it will return the value inside the pointer variable as null, that is a 0. It will display in the screen. Okay, so this is about the null pointers. Next, coming to the void pointers. Okay, so in the void pointers, a void pointer can hold address of any type and can be typecast to any type. So normally we will declare a variable like suppose a. So int a, that means that variable is of int type, and float a, that means the variable a is of a float type, that is of a decimal type, and long double a, that means the variable a is of the long double type, right? And character a, so a is a character type. So we are defining the particular type of the variable, right? But here using the void pointers, it can hold the address of any type and can be typecast to any type. So here if you are using the void pointer, then we can store the variable of any data type. So it will typecast the variable of any type. Okay, so that is the meaning of this void pointer. So it is a pointer that has no associated data type with it. Okay, so we can apply generally the void pointer for variable of any type. So it is also called a generic pointer or a general purpose pointer and does not have any standard data type. Okay, so here we can apply it for, it is a generic pointer because we can apply the void type for the any type of the variable. Okay, so that's why it is a generic pointer or general purpose pointer. We cannot dereference the generic pointer, that is the only a drawback here. So we cannot dereference. So dereferencing means we cannot find out the value at the particular generic pointer, right? We cannot apply the value at operator for the generic pointers. So in C language, MLOC and CLOC functions return the void pointer or generic pointers. Okay, so we will see the syntax of the void pointers, that is void pointer data type. Okay, that type variable. So now clearly see, we will see it with an example. So int x equals to 10. So I am taking a variable x of integer type and assigning the value 10 to the variable x. So next I am assigning a character I with a I'm going to apply the void pointer for the variable x. So I'm taking a pointer p. Okay, so here it is storing the address of the variable x. Okay, so normally if we are storing a particular variable of the integer type, then the pointer must be also of that type only. Okay, so here since I am taking the int type of variable, so the pointer also must be in the same type. Okay, but we are using the void pointer because so void pointer can accept the data type of any variable of any data type. Okay, so it will simply typecast that variable into the same type. Okay, so next one is the character space I equals to a. So we can convert this into a generic pointer like this: void pointer y equals to address of I. So here the variable a is of a character type and we are assigning the address of I to the pointer y. Okay, so here also the variable I is of a character type and we are applying the void pointer for this to store the address of I, right? So it will typecast the address of I to the character type. So y will be also of character type by using the void pointer. So it can store the any data type here by using the pointer variable. So next one is the wild pointers. A pointer that has not been initialized to anything till its first use, not even the null value. So it is called as a wild pointer. Okay, so when we first declare a variable, that is a int pointer variable, then so here it will act as a wild pointer only because so it is not initialized, right? It is not initialized but it is declared. Okay, a wild pointer is nothing but a pointer that has not been initialize it to anything that is not even null, so it will act as a wild pointer. So int star p, so that is the pointer variable p is a wild pointer, okay, because it is uninitialized, that is not even null. Wild pointers are also called uninitialized pointers or bad pointers, okay. So they point to some unknown memory location and may cause a program to cache, okay. So here the pointer variable is declared, but if you leave it as it is, then it may point to any of the address location in the system that will eventually lead to the crash of the program. So this is the example of the wild pointers. So here int pointer, okay, so here is the ptr is the pointer variable, so it will act as a wild pointer here because it is declared but not initialized here, okay. So int x equals to 10, we are taking the variable x and assigning the value 10 of integer type. So here the pointer is not a wild pointer now, okay, because we are assigning the address of the variable x to the pointer. So now it is not a wild pointer. So if there is only declaration, then and there is no assigned value for the particular pointer, then it will act as a wild pointer. So the next one is dangling pointers. So in the pointers concept, so dangling pointers is a very important concept, okay. So dangling pointers is nothing but a pointer that points to a memory location which has been deleted here, okay. So a pointer, so normally a pointer will point to the address of a particular location, okay. So if the value at that particular address location is deleted and still the pointer is pointing to that particular location, means it will lead to the dangling pointers. So dangling pointers arise during the object destruction when an object that has an incoming reference is deleted or deallocated without modifying the value of the pointer, so that the pointer still points to the memory location of the deallocated memory. So dangling pointers normally occur in the object destruction. So here the object destroyed, but the pointer is still pointing to the same location, okay. So that will lead to a dangling pointers. So this is like, so this is the pointer and it is pointing to the deleted object here, okay. So it is pointing to the particular location here, okay, which is in which the value is deleted, okay. So in this type of scenario, the dangling pointers will occur. So what are the causes of the dangling pointers? So first one is the return local variable in the function call. So char function, so we are taking a character pointer to function, so with the character string of length 10 and the string copy of string comma hello, so return the string variable. So in this type of scenario, the return local variable in the function call, okay. So in this type of scenario, the dangling pointers may occur. So here the string is of length 10 and we are copying the string hello to the string and we are returning the string. So if we are dangling pointer, because the scope of the string is within this function only. So if you are sending this string function out of the box, means then it will result in the dangling pointers, okay. So returning the local variable in the function call. So next one is a variable goes out of scope. So we're taking a header file stdio.h and the program execution starts here from the main. So character pointer to pointer string pointer, and then character pointer string equals to hello. string pointer equals to address of string. Okay, and printf percentage comma string pointer. So in this type of scenario also the dangling pointer will occur because the variable goes out of the scope. So in the given program, in the main function, we are taking a character pointer to pointer. The string pointer is a pointer to pointer of the character type. Okay, and string is of the pointer type. Okay, so here the value at the pointer string is hello. Okay, and then we are copying the address of the string to the string pointer here. Okay, so we are copying the address of string to the string pointer, and we are printing the string pointer out of the scope. So here the variable string pointer comes out of the scope of the pointer to pointer of the string pointer. So then also, so here the string pointer, the memory allocated to the string pointer, that is the address of string, will get erased when it comes out of the scope. Okay, so here the variable will go out of the scope. So next one is the accessing the deallocating or free variable memory. Deallocating memory is normally comes in the dynamic memory or the malloc and clloc functions. So int pointer to c equals to malloc of size of int, free of c, and value at c equals to 3. So in this type of scenario also the dangling pointers will occur. So here the value at c equals to, so we are allocating the dynamically allocating the size of the particular variable here. So after allocating the memory, we are deallocating the c using the free function. Okay, and here the pointer to c equals to 3. Okay, so pointer variable c equals to 3. So here, so we have already deleted the variable c, but now we are pointing to the c, so which will cause in the accessing of the deallocated memory. So here the c is deallocated, but we are accessing here by assigning the value 3 to the c, which is already deleted. So it will cause in the dangling pointer. So how to avoid the dangling pointers errors? So we can avoid the dangling pointer errors by initializing the pointer to null after the deallocation of the memory, so that the pointer will be no longer dangling. Okay, so here the variable at the particular location, the object is deleted here, right? So that's why the pointer must be initialized to null value. So when the object is deleted from the particular location, the pointer must be initialized to null value. Then there is no chance of occurrence of the dangling pointers. Assigning null value means the pointer is not pointing to. So next one is the near pointer. Okay, so this next coming 3 pointers are very old pointers which were used in the MS-DOS system. Okay, so it is now not used much. So in the olden days we were using the near pointer, hug pointer, and far pointer. Okay, so it works for the DOS operating system with the 16-bit address and the 8085 processor. And here, coming to the near pointer, a near pointer is used to store the 16-bit addresses, means within the current segment on a 16-bit machine. Okay, so normally we were using the near pointer to store the 16-bit addresses, and the scope of the near pointer is within the current segment on the 16-bit machine. So the limitation is that we can access only 64 KB of data at a time. Okay, so 6 here, 2 power 6 into 2 power 10, that is the 2 power 16, right? So 2 power 6 into 2 power 10, that means 64 KB of data. So here 2 power 6 into 2 power 10, that is the total 16 bits of address, right? So it can access, it is used to store only 16 bit of address. So that means 2 power 6 is 64 and 2 power 10 is KB. So 64 KB. So we can access only 64 KB of data at a time here using the near pointer. And the size of the near pointer is 2 bytes. So at a time we can access, we can store the using 2 bytes here. So with the help of the keyword near, we can make any pointer a near pointer. So by using the keyword near after the pointer variable, we can make any pointer as a near pointer. So now coming to the example here. Hash include stdio.h main function. So I'm taking a variable x equals 25 and near pointer. So I'm declaring the near pointer here. And then pointer equals to address of x, that is 25 we are storing here in the pointer variable. And the printf size of pointer. So what is the size of pointer here? So pointer is pointing to address of the x. So x equals to 25, that is it is of length 2. Okay. So return 0. So here the output is 2 bytes. Right. So 2 bytes of memory it occupies. The pointer is pointing to 2 bytes of memory. And we know that the limitation here is we can access only 2 bytes of memory at a time for the near pointer. So next one is the for pointer. A for pointer is a 32-bit pointer to an object anywhere in the memory. So in order to use it, the compiler must allocate a segment register loaded with the segment portion of the pointer and then reference memory using the offset portion of the pointer related to the newly loaded segment register. So this takes extra instructions and extra time. So the for pointer, which can point or access the whole residence of the RAM. That is, it can access the 16 segments, which is known as the for pointer. In the case of the near pointer, we can access only within the segment the data. But here using the for pointer, we can access the outside of the segment also in the random access memory. The size of the for pointer is 4 bytes or 32 bits. So it can access memory outside the current segment. Compiler allocates a segment register to store the segment address, then another register to store the offset within the current segment. Okay, so here the size of the for pointer is 4 bytes, right? So in this 2 bytes is allocated for the segment address and the 2 bytes is allocated for the storing of offset within the current segment. So now let us see the for pointer with an example. Header file and main function starts from here. So I'm taking a variable x equals to 10 and for pointer, I'm declaring the for pointer by using the keyword for, and pointer equals to address of x. So size of the pointer. So what is the size of the pointer here? That is address of x. So x is 10. So it will display the size of the pointer as 4 bytes. Okay. So since it is a 32-bit type of machine, right? So that's why, so in the 32-bit type of machine, the integer occupies 4 bytes of memory, whereas in the 16-bit machines, it will occupy only 2 bytes of memory. If you reference the scale factor of the pointers, then you will know clearly about that allocation of the memory. So here we are using the 32-bit type of pointer to point to the object in the memory using the for pointer. So that why it occupies the 4 bytes of memory. Size of pointer is 4 bytes. So next one is the Hugh pointer. So Hugh pointer is also typically 32-bit and can access outside segment. So in case of the for pointers, a segment is fixed, but in the case of the Hugh pointer, it can access the entire segment of the RAM. So in for pointer, the segment part cannot be modified, but in Hugh pointer, it can be modified. And here the only difference between a for pointer and a hook pointer is that a hook pointer is normalized by the compiler. A hook pointer is normalized only when the pointer arithmetic is performed on it. So it is not normalized when an assignment is made. You can cause it to be normalized without changing the value by performing the incrementing and decrementing and then decrementing operation on it. And the offset value must be less than 16. And this is about the different types of pointers in C language, and thanks for watching my video. Please do like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.